Okay, so this is my video on experiment 3, and the experiment didn't really go as planned. I had to leave my cultures to incubate longer than advised, and even then it didn't really give me the results I expected. So let me get into it. First of all, there is my name, student ID, and course ID. And first thing I want to discuss is agar plate number 1. So this plate, there are basically 2 cultures, and I'm trying to avoid kind of the shadow that my phone's casting. And I think this is probably the best way of doing it. But as you can see, there's basically 2 larger cultures. The one right up top here really just started coming in today, which is Monday, and it didn't really go any way I expected. I expected plate number 1, because of the dilution factor, to have by far the most colonies, whereas it had the least, but obviously the large colonies. Now, plate number 2. This one, it's harder to see, but it has quite a few colonies. This is more along the lines of what I expected, but I still expected far more colonies. Again, this is after many more days of waiting than I thought it should take before the colonies started coming in. So, yeah. Number 3, again, this has quite a few colonies, hoping that you can see them with all of the glory of my camera. I've kind of got it in selfie view, so it's hard to see, but I'm trying to do the best I can. Quite a few. This is something that I would sort of expect, maybe a little more than it has, but something that I would kind of acknowledge as reasonable with the dilution factor. Now, number 4, again, a little less than number 3. This is where it kind of goes along where I planned, and nothing too crazy here. Now, number 5. This one caught me way off guard. So when I first tried to do this video, it was Sunday, and I had let the agar plates incubate for 48 hours at that point, a little over 48 hours, and it was the only one that had showed any reasonable growth. And it showed a good bit, which was shocking to me because of the dilution. I expected that this one would show very, very little, and it showed, at the time, the most and the largest colonies. At this point, I believe 2 has the most amount of yeast colonies. I'd have to check my data on that, but I'm fairly positive it has the most. But I am really confused as to why 5 had the most for the longest amount of time, and along with that, had the largest. Number 6 has colonies in the single digits, which is something I would expect. This is where it, again, went on track. But as with all the other ones, it took far longer than expected for these colonies to form. So I'm not sure whether that has something to do with temperature. That's the only thing I can think of, as they were in a dark area where nothing could disturb them. But my guess is that perhaps it was too cold, and that allowed for the growth of the colonies to be inhibited. But that's the only thing I can come up with, and I'm really unsure why the experiment went the way it did. I'm hoping that it was a fluke and the next ones can go more according to plan. But yeah, a real disappointment with this one, and hoping everything else goes much more according to plan. Thank you.